Welcome to another edition of From the Front Lines, how real estate managers are addressing COVID-19. Our topic today is the pulse of multifamily properties. I'm here with Stacy Holden, Senior Director, Industry Principal at Appfolio, a cloud-based property management software. Stacy, I'd like to talk with you about the surveys that you've conducted in the recent months and what your observations are. Can you tell me a little bit about the surveys first?
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me, Suzanne. Appfolio conducted two different surveys. The first one was the third week of March, and the second one was conducted on the 24th of April. Questions were asked around COVID-19 and how real estate technology is impacting businesses today, along with what is top of mind within the industry. This last survey had over 2,200 responses.
So what were the differences between the responses of the first survey and the second survey?
Well, the first survey, we were really in the moment of the crisis. So the concerns were maybe mostly focused around policies, safety, legality changes within the industry. However, this last survey was really more focused on what's next, looking forward. As businesses are emerging out of this crisis and really converting into the new reality of managed properties going forward, what is top of mind for them today?
So before we dive into the details, if people take away one thing from the results, what should that be?
Well, I'm going to actually give you two. First, we were really excited to see that property management companies in general have a very positive business outlook for 2020. The real estate's still here, and so are the tenants. Businesses are focused on optimizing their offerings and giving tenants the great experience that they are looking for. Secondly, technology in property management is now a requirement and not just a good to have or a nice to have. Technology has always enabled our industry to be more effective and efficient, but companies are going to have to lean into their technology just to survive in our new normal.
Absolutely. So let's get into the details. Can you tell us about any best practices that were learned or shared from the survey?
Oh, for sure. We asked respondents to actually type in manually versus picking from a list what lessons they had learned and what they're sharing with others. The top three were the importance of communication. That would be communicating, electronically or in bulk via text or email. Not only, residents and tenants, but also owners and staff as well. The second one was embracing technology. And the third one, which I thought was really interesting, was staying calm and patient and positive. What I mean by that is our respondents said they're really taking a breath at this point and looking at this as an opportunity to improve their businesses as a whole. For example, one of the customers and survey respondents were saying that they've learned how important it is for all staff and residents and owners to really embrace technology and be open to change, because that's going to make everyone more efficient forward-looking. Mm-hmm. We know that these behaviors will have to be modified as the country opens back up. At the same time, we know what we don't know, and that we have to be prepared to pivot if circumstances change in the future. For example, we can't always count on a personal interaction with a resident. Today, businesses have to thoughtfully solve for both the in-person and being remote in order to be successful in this new normal. And what these are doing is actually changing the business priorities.
And what about those priorities? How have the priorities of the property management industry changed?
So we asked that question in our survey, and the biggest shift we actually saw was in the technology. For example, virtual showing was the number one business priority to address. Number two was expense control. Under that was resident retention, paperless leases, and processing things in an automated way. So what was interesting is of those top 5 responses, 4 of them had everything to do with technology.
So what actions are being taken around these priorities?
So when we asked them that, adopting technology, 46% were there, streamlining and automating processes, and deferring capital expenses were the top three responses. What was interesting is around the capital expenses, most people were only deferring internal projects, but external capital projects were being done. However, when it comes to the technology piece, one of the comments I thought was great was we had found that we are our biggest obstacle to creating change. The speed at which we adjusted our business practices was very encouraging. Now we need to take technology and take that to the next level. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that they were highlighting that themselves were the biggest obstacle when it comes to streamlining and adopting new technology.
You mentioned technology adoption. What type of technologies are being adopted exactly?
Great question. So when we asked that, number one is they wanted to be adopting a virtual showing technology. Number two was around how to thoughtfully work remote. Again, automation of manual and paper processes as well as video meetings, bulk email, and tracking payment plans. Those were the top. But what was interesting was when we asked what was the most challenging thing to successfully accomplish remotely, again, leasing was number one, maintenance was number two, but also having to do with paperless processes, accounts payable. So like we talked about before, involving that human touch, we're not going to have that anymore. So technology around the virtual showing, such as whether it's a web conferencing application or providing 3D tours of units, are now being looked at as a solution for virtual showings. However, the next question we ask them is, of this technology that you would like to adopt, which ones do you think are permanent versus those that we're just solving for a problem in the moment? And the number one out of that was virtual showings. Number two was emails and texting, following by the ability to work remote. Also had some thoughtful responses around virtual maintenance assistance, being able to create a contactless way to fix things, such as common things, whether it's resetting breakers or replacing light bulbs.
So do you think this technology adoption will significantly impact the resident experience?
Oh, without a doubt. Reading the responses and talking to the people who had responded to the survey, we asked them what success looked like in the next 90 days and or what it looked like for them. 64% of those answers were resident focused, with maintaining occupancy being number one. Resident experience has always been important, but I think now resident experience is that new amenity. Executives that I have spoken to are wanting to create an environment where they can serve these residents in any circumstance. For example, our first survey, companies were really focused on rent payments, and we saw a significant increase in residents signing up and paying online versus sending in manual payments, both in the months of April and May. These virtual options, they can't stop with payments. Virtual engagement, communications, support, and enablement are all going to be successful or keys to a resident's great experience. But I think it's important that we mention, and a lot of our respondents mentioned as well, that it's not just the residents that the businesses are concerned about. It's adopting technology that solves for the employee, giving the tools for employees to provide that resident experience is now more important than ever. So having the technical environment where their staff can learn without being in a classroom, where a business can cross-train a leasing agent to be able to thoughtfully source simple maintenance questions without having contact with the resident. That's going to enable the business continuity within the application while having a source of data that can be trusted and accessed from anywhere. So it's not just the residents when it comes to adopting technology, it's really our employees as well, so that they can be successful in the business objective.
Thank you so much, Stacy, to you and Appfolio for sharing these results of these really informative surveys. Please continue to visit irom.org, where you'll find our page dedicated to providing updates and resources to support real estate managers in making informed decisions during this time. That's irem.org.